Today I'm making my life difficult in the name of fashion. I really want to wear this jacket, but I'm so squeaky every time I move. I feel like I'm making a lot of noise and it's going to be distracting. Hey everyone, welcome back to Reissued. If you're new here, my name is Andrew. Today we are in the car. Get in, losers. We're going thrifting. So in pretty much all of my Thrift With Me videos, I focus mostly on home decor and furniture, sometimes clothes if that's what they have there. But today I wanted to change it up a little bit. I'm in a season of my life where I feel a little bit stagnant and I want to do something different. I want to change up the routine. So today we're going to change it up and go to a couple places that focus more on building supplies and materials. So we're going to head over to the Lifecycle Building Center in Atlanta. I've been there many times. And then we're also going to check out this place called Scraplanta. They have 2 different locations. They're new in the last 2 years or so, but I've never actually been there before. They're more focused on kind of leftover crafting supplies and such. Like if you have scrap fabric or thread or whatever, it all ends up there. So again, this is going to be a little bit different than what we usually do, and I'm really excited and curious to see what they have. Let's go thrifting. Okay, so we've arrived at our first stop. This is Scraplanta. As I mentioned, there are 2 locations of this place. This one is quite a bit further away from me, but this is kind of their main location flagship store, I guess. So I wanted our first experience with Scraplanta to be the most it could be, and I felt like that would happen at the bigger store. So we're gonna pop in here and see what they have. But first, I mentioned we're sacrificing squeakiness for fashion today. So let's check out the outfit. Goodwill jacket, Goodwill shirt, Goodwill pants. Everything else I got not at the thrift store. So relevant items here. Okay, so right off the bat here, the expression "holy crap" comes to mind. Literally. I know I hate to throw anything away, but this is a whole new level. Props to the staff here for their extreme organization. I mean, the labels tiny metal bits versus small metal parts is true commitment. And just when I'm thinking this might be too junky even for me, I find the junk I was looking for. I've actually been searching for some trophy toppers for a while for an art project. A diver would be my first choice, but a swimmer preparing to dive works too. I wonder if Brian Sperry knew that all of his swim trophies would end up at the thrift store and then on YouTube for thousands of eyes to behold. I like this size, and it's my birth year, which feels like a sign, so let's go with this one. I was actually looking for a plaque like this for the hook in my kitchen refresh. Too little too late, but good to know they have these here. Now we get into more craft-specific materials. Basket weaving, scrapbooking. Not my thing, but how great to be able to get materials like this for cheap. With the kind of art and crafting materials that I tend to look for, they had the categories, but nothing that really wowed me. I wanted some gold leaf to have on hand since I ran out, some fun vintage wallpaper pieces, cool posters or art prints, old photos, postcards, and maps. Again, not much that I like here today, but good to know they have a spot for these in case something great were to be donated. This was also the kind of place where you could spend hours digging to find something cool. I'm honestly not much of a thrift digger these days, especially when I'm filming, but maybe I'll bring Matt here to dig with me one day, since he's always very thorough. I also might have picked up a lot more items if I were actively creating art, since I love found materials and the element of chance that comes with that, but not today. Now, at this point, I thought I'd seen everything and got kind of disappointed. But wait, there's more! There was another room at the back of the store that was more focused on sewing and books, and there were so many great things back here. Knitting needles in tons of sizes, patterns for clothes, quilts, and home decor. And trim scraps that would be awesome for Christmas decor crafting. I've been thinking that I really want to make a stylish modern quilt for my living room because I love to be under a blanket when watching TV, and so I'm starting to get ideas and look for fabric. These large pieces of upholstery foam were a great find. And of course, that brings us to the giant wall of fabric. I don't need fabric, but let's take a look, shall we? I didn't see much fabric that would work for quilting, but I did find some cool upholstery fabrics. This teal velvet looks like a winner to me, and there's a decent amount here. And finally, the other corner is for books and magazines with tons of crafting instructionals and some cool vintage finds like these 1970s National Geographic magazines. So how does pricing work here? Some items here are priced individually, but a lot of the items are fill-a-bag. They have 4 different sizes of bags and boxes, and you can fill the chosen vessel with any qualifying items for a flat price. This would be amazing if you were looking for a lot of random pieces for a project. I grabbed a bag that would fit my fabric and my trophy in case I found any other items to fill the bag, but after another round through the store, I didn't find anything else. So at checkout, I found it was actually cheaper to pay for the items individually. So with items in hand, I headed out. Okay, so that was really overwhelming at first, but it actually ended up being really fun. I walked away with the trophy, which I think I might use for a piece of art that's on my front porch. There's like a shadow box frame that's there, and it has these ugly pears in it, and I've been meaning to do something with that for a while, and I've been planning, and I think that this might be cool for that. And then I ended up getting this fabric. Not that I need any more fabric, but I thought this wood grain and this color were kind of unique. I'm feeling the jewel tone vibe, but also I love something that is trying to be something that it's not, and velvet trying to be wood grain just makes me smile. So we walked away with those two, and my grand total was $227. So can't beat that. But yeah, Scraplanta feels very on brand for Reissued. I have this thing where I hate to waste anything. I hate to throw anything away, which, by the way, is why I use Earth Breeze, which is the sponsor of today's video. Earth Breeze laundry sheets come in very compact, plastic-free packaging that is smart and efficient and not wasteful. Not to mention that it takes up way less space in your laundry room. I spent so many years using these huge detergent bottles, and I don't know about you, but I, for one, do not know how to upcycle those. I don't know what to do with them, and so I had to throw them away, thus adding to the 500 million of those bottles that end up in landfills and oceans every single year. Plus, most traditional detergents are full of harsh chemicals, including optical brighteners, that aren't great for the planet or for your skin. So Earth Breeze is such an easy way to get clean clothes while reducing waste. Right now, you can head to the link in the description to get 40% off with your auto shipment. Little things add up, whether it's plastic in a landfill or one person at a time making an effort to create less waste. So get started today with Earth Breeze. All right, off we go to the next 2 locations. We're gonna hit the Lifecycle Building Center next since they closed earlier, and then we'll finish with the other location of Scraplanta. So we open on kind of a junkyard vibe, but with some good finds. This quartz double vanity for $275 is clean and simple and a good price. And these bricks might be nice for landscaping at some point. I also love a little vintage wall sink for a powder room, and $15 is perfect. This outdoor area is where I got this super tall ladder that's in my studio. They actually gave it to me for free. Heading inside, first of all, check out the cool building. It's totally graffitied on the outside, but the vintage industrial vibes inside are so inspiring. On to lighting. This lantern fixture is really pretty and for $30. They also have a couple other pieces that are decent as is, but might be even better for parts for building something custom. It's always nice when they have things in pairs since that gives more options. Matt is closer to Lifecycle, so he comes here more often. The big globe in his entry came from here for $15, and we also picked up these two light fixtures for $7.50 each when we were here a couple weeks ago. So it's definitely possible to find good things here. Now on to cabinets. I like the idea of buying cabinets here, but I just feel like they tend to be quite expensive. I mean, if they were in incredible shape or super modern, maybe, but I think these prices are kind of high. Is that just me? They have a couple pieces of furniture here. This old desk for $75 is pretty cool, but kind of busted. Tile is one of the things that they seem to have in stock consistently, and they get full pallets, which is great for tackling some larger projects. I think these two tones of square tiles would be beautiful together on the floor for a checkered look, and these white tiles with a wavy texture would be an amazing modern backsplash. They have a ton of these cream handmade looking subway tiles. These were super hot for a minute, but I feel like the imperfect edge look can be kind of messy and too trendy. What do you think? Here we have more furniture that looks very corporate, which isn't always bad. I actually think these chairs are pretty cool, albeit a little basic. I also like the idea of one of these desks for Matt's office at the loft, since it would go nicely against the wall, offer some curved lines, and have a nice place to hide cords. Maybe we could paint it to lose the faux wood look. This is also a great spot to look for salvaged wood pieces and moldings. They don't have much of one kind today, but sometimes they get great bundles that would be perfect to add character and depth to a room. And finally, we have tons of doors and windows. Matt and I have been eyeing these as an option for the partial wall in the loft bedroom, but they're crazy heavy and still kind of pricey at $100 each. But if you needed some cool old doors or windows to add some architectural detail to a room, this is definitely a spot worth checking out. Nothing here for me today, so let's head out. Okay, so I feel like today's visit pretty much tracks with my experience at Lifecycle. You either get something kind of really cool and for a really affordable price, or it kind of feels like everything in there is weirdly expensive. Plus, I was just here a couple weeks ago with Matt and they haven't had a lot of turnover since then, so it wasn't the most exciting day. But yeah, that gives you kind of an impression of what this place is like. It's interesting. I feel like the Habitat for Humanity restore model used to be a bit more like this, where it was more focused on sort of salvage and building materials and things like that. But over time, it appears that a lot of the restores, I mean, I know from experience, I work at one, they've moved away from that because furniture is so much more sellable to a lot of people and it's easier to create a high turnover and then to raise more money for the cause, which is the mission there. With all the places that we're going today, it's a different kind of model because it's much more focused on the environmental aspect and sustainability and the reuse aspect as opposed to the money raising aspect. So I think they're definitely willing to take in things that are a little bit more beat up than a lot of REISSUED will take now. So in some ways that's a bit more exciting because it feels like there's potential for like hidden treasures in the trash, but in other ways, a lot of times you're just looking at a lot of crap, or at least that's what it feels like. So hit or miss here. All right, let's hop over to the other location of Scraplanta. It's just right down the street here. Again, haven't been there before, so we'll pop in there and see how it compares to the first one. Okay, so I'm not outside Scraplanta. Allow me to explain. I did finally find the Scraplanta second location after driving around the block and pulling into 2 different parking lots and pulling back out again. And I think I ended up parking in the wrong spot and I had to ask someone for directions to find it. But I did finally find it, and it was more of the same, which is to be expected, but it was quite a lot smaller, which meant that there wasn't really much chance of finding something that was super unique and off the wall like there was in the other store. So this would be more of a store to go to if you were looking for something really specific within what they might have. So I was in and out of there in about 2 minutes, and then I thought I would pop over to a Goodwill because I feel unsatisfied with my day. I feel like we started on a really high and we're going downhill ever since. Let's head into Goodwill and see if we can turn this around. What can I say? I tried to change it up and still ended up at Goodwill. Sometimes our comfort zone is comfortable for a reason. I promise I'll be quick. I flew through housewares without finding much. They did have this really interesting little jewelry box that looks like a vintage Asian piece. The paint job is actually not hideous, but I don't think it was the best choice here, but we could fix that. Unfortunately, one of the drawer fronts was missing and one of the legs was broken, so I don't think I can save this one. Darn. Over in furniture, there were some nice antique tables and this cabinet that seems to be missing drawers. Still great bones though. Most of these had already sold, except for this awesome little vintage vanity for $40. You know, I love these kinds of pieces in a bathroom with the sink on top, and this would be perfect for the right person. Let's pop over to the clothing section before we head out. These days, I find myself dressing to match my house since my video thumbnails tend to look better when the outfit coordinates with whatever project I'm working on. So this J. Crew shirt is kind of nice. I like this and it feels like something I would wear for a video, and it's just over $3, so let's go for it. I also picked up this black leather belt since slim leather belts for men are really hard to find these days, and you never know when you might need a certain belt to make an outfit work. And with that, another day of thrifting is in the books. Alright, so I think that was a strong finish. We turned things around here. Even if I hadn't found those couple of clothing items, I was still really excited to see some of the vintage furniture. I don't know, I just feel like I was craving seeing something exciting and beautiful, and that satisfied it for me. So hopefully it satisfied that for you too. If you enjoyed this video and want to see more Thrift With Me content, be sure to hit the like button. Also, if you want to catch me wearing or using the things that we found today in one of my future videos, be sure that you're subscribed. Thanks so much for watching. I'll see you guys soon.